All right, we're here, SportsStreamNetwork.com. Jeff DeForest, we got Jersey Kyle. He, of course, and I don't want to get in some Trumpian controversy here, is on Mexican time, and so he may make his way in shortly. As they say in horse racing, his favorite sport will be along in time. And I actually have a good one for Jersey Kyle, because I was on the radio this morning, iHeartRadio, around the country, and 940 wins here in the South Florida area. Most of you guys are familiar with my stuff, and probably have heard all the jokes and references many times before. But I was on with the great Gene Deckeroff, and he was talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He calls Florida State and Tampa Bay Buccaneers football. And Buccaneers are coming to town for probably the most meaningless sporting enterprise that you will ever see or witness. And that is the fourth game of the preseason. Just dreadful thievery on the part of the National Football League. While Roger Goodell is pressing our man Tom Brady in court, he's had her in front of, or had him in front of everybody but Judge Judy so far on this Deflategate, and we still no decision. It's kind of like when the mic came down from the ceiling and they were going to job the Cinderella Man in that movie. In real life too, James J. Braddock, and he beating the crap out of Max Baer. And they're waiting in a ring. What seems like an eternity goes by, and they finally, they're all speculating, they're going to rob this kid. Can you believe it? And finally, he does get the just decision. But no, it's just absolutely crazy that the Buccaneers were one time coached by Greg Schiano, and Deckeroff was talking about the Schiano effect on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers organization, and brought up kind of an interesting thing because. I was looking at a list of the worst coaches in NFL history. Now, what names come to mind? This list had a bunch of old-time guys. I think number 2 on the list was Joe Bugle, who buried the Arizona Cardinals for what seemed like a couple of decades. They've been bad forever, and then finally they start to make some noise, and you're thinking, this is the year they're going to do it, and they just never get over the hump because they're cursed by some really putrid coach they had in the past. Well, we see it with a bunch of teams, and it's possible... I don't want to say it, but my good buddy now, the Miami Dolphins, Joe Philbin, could be that guy, dooming a team to mediocrity forever, although that doesn't seem to be the common wisdom going into the season. They may succeed in spite of the sort of lack of charisma of Joe Philbin. Certainly you compare him to O'Brien, the guy that's featured on Hard Knocks, and you're talking about a guy that literally is walking around as if he's in a coma. They had a famous case here, and I probably shouldn't make reference to it because obviously people could take offense, but I mean no offense by this. There was a famous case here where Jeb Bush was involved in insisting that they don't pull the plug on this poor woman, Terry Schiavo, who'd been in a hopeless coma, no reversible, lifeless situation for like 12 years. And the family is begging the governor, they're saying, please, Jeb, can we pull the plug on this poor soul? I mean, just let her end her life peacefully. And for religious reasons, they always got to throw in religious reasons. They're saying, no, that would be wrong. She still could possibly... There's no chance, right? I mean, you're looking at somebody that essentially is going to be a zombie at best. And finally, I guess they won out. But it was time to, pull the plug. And you're hoping that they mercifully do. I don't know that that's going to be the case with some of these coaches in the National Football League. But Philbin was one of those guys you thought, please, just pull the plug on this experiment once and for all. And now we're hoping, because you get an infusion of talent, that this thing goes in the right direction. And I've been speculating all year that certainly the Red Sea is parted for the Miami Dolphins, because we still, as we speak, can you believe this, people, we don't know what's going to happen with Tom Brady. And it's a disparaging situation to begin with for the National Football League, because they have so many other issues. While they're worried about how many pounds per square inch were in this football that Tom Brady was throwing around against the Colts, they're being endorsed by gambling sites, which now, for some reason, because they fell into a gray area of the law, are perfectly acceptable. Talking about FanDuel and DraftKings, and I endorse one here locally, a good bunch of guys, DraftPot.com. I guess the suspicion is, are they going to be able to pay off if you're playing fantasy football? So you would assume, if you have the backing, I don't know how much FanDuel and DraftKings are paying the National Football League to have their logo right under the NFL. This is a league that for years has denounced the idea, oh no, we can't allow gambling on our games, which probably helped them build to this crescendo they're at right now of just having billions of dollars flowing in. But yeah, definitely embracing gambling, and at the same time trying to keep Tom Brady out of the first 4 games of the season over a ridiculous incident where at best Goodell was made to be embarrassed by the fact that Brady thought he was too big for the league and didn't want to cooperate with their investigation. But on the horizon of all of that, and it is interesting to me, you think about the coach and team dynamic, whether a guy could actually bury a franchise for a long period of time. I think Greg Schiano, that was the implication of Deckeroff when I had that conversation, was that Greg Schiano had literally taken this thing so deep into the tank that even a series of number 1 overall first-round draft picks can't save this franchise, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they're in for hard times coming up this season. Still, the impact of one guy. Who else was in that category? That'd be a good question. Number 5 on that list that I was, a little curious about because they left out some real classics. I think any Jet fan would immediately come up with Rich Kotite as just a human burial ground for a franchise that may be jinxed anyway. I'm not sure that the Jets don't operate under some kind of hidden curse as you look at the prospects that they have coming up for the season. Because you have Geno Smith getting knocked out. They're banking on this guy, Ryan Fitzpatrick, is a human pick machine, especially in the clutch. They're talking today about how he's minimized his mistakes during the preseason. The problem is when the money's on the table, when it's Johnny Chan and he's pushed all in, this guy is notorious for throwing that inadvertent pick that buries your team in key ball games and keeps them in that mediocre to poor level. So we'll see if that can turn around. I tend to doubt it. Jet fans are so insane they actually thought it was a good thing that Geno got knocked out. And that may turn out to be the case, but the chances of that seem to be relatively slim. Oh my God, he got a new suit deal.
No, it's the same deal.
Same deal? Where did you dig that out of my closet?
No. It's the same deal. It's just a different style for today. More of a formal wear.
It's a little snugger fit than that last jacket that you had. I'm not sure that'll show well on TV.
Well, I don't care how it looks. To me, it's
you look like a maitre d' at a cheesy restaurant.
It's all about Tony's Tailor and Tuxedos on the Midway, located right there next to Bobby's Bail Bonds, right near the Pollo Tropical.
Would you hawk anything? I mean, it wouldn't matter. Some dick doctor comes into the picture here and.
You mean
he's working out of a place where you could buy a suit and also get a sex change
for wood
operation in Hialeah.
You're talking about Extends?
Yes, I'm talking about Extends. Which
come on.
Maybe the worst product ever put on the market. For
Any people out there that have a product that would they'd like to have it represented here on our program.
A desperate attempt to make money on a show.
I'm fully willing to.
Joey just outlined to me how Pizza Hut owns the network now.
Pizza Hut?
No, I don't know. It was Domino's or something.
You remember that stuff I said about Little Caesars last week? Forget it. It's the worst pie you could ever get your hands.
$5 for what? This Trek. Jersey-based question for you, though,
yes.
On the sporting scene here to kind of get us going.
Is it a Jersey sports scene or the Jersey nightclub bar scene? Because that I'm a little better at.
You would be much more adept at analyzing the Jersey bar scene, I'm sure.
Yes.
What is the beer of choice on the Jersey Shore, by the way?
The king of beers.
Oh, Bud?
Budweiser.
Oh, and so that's...
I mean, when I was a kid, nowadays, it's probably one of these fancy, schmancy, IPAs or...
No, I can't imagine that, though. I mean, look, Jersey guys are never going to drink Sam Adams. They spit into Sam Adams.
You know the sound of the Jersey Shore.
Boston beer, yeah.
Don't you?
What's that?
Do you know the sound of the Jersey?
Popping of a can.
That's it.
In cans.
In cans.
Budweiser
cans on the shore. Fits nice in the cooler. You can always stack them in there, really pack them into the cooler. I would say Bud.
Bud is the beer of choice.
Now, maybe
me too. I got a guy coming down tomorrow, Ira, Mr. Met.
Yes.
To watch the Met series. Also collect on his bet that I made, a pathetic bet.
Can I get in on that? I mean, that sounds like a nice dinner.
No, I mean, it's a little too late, right?
No, not the bet. I just want to get on the freebie.
Yeah, if you pay your own way.
Oh, shoot. I don't want to pay. I was hoping on a freebie, I could scooch.
Great restaurant here in South Florida, the Cafe Max. Probably the top of the line there, Daryl and Oliver.
Yes.
Tremendous job. Sitting there nearby where we're doing the show from right now.
Located in beautiful Pompano Beach.
A little pricey, you would have to say. I mean, it's not like you're getting out of there.
Yeah, but you're not getting junk. I mean, you're getting
getting
good
robbed.
stuff.
No,
Yeah,
no. I mean, it's worth every penny.
Yeah,
I would say that.
Good stuff, good atmosphere.
Right. It's kind of like when you go to a ball game. You wouldn't mind paying $14 for a sandwich if at least it was a good sandwich.
Right, like that one slice of Oscar Mayer bologna and a pickle.
Real crap. Like you go to the kosher corner and you're cursing the rabbi out as you go away because you can't even get Hebrew National Mustard on a hot dog.
Yeah,
They're trying to sell you this plain yellow stuff.
Don't you hate that? Like you'll even say, "Listen, I'll pay you triple the price.
Yes.
Just make a decent sandwich."
Something good, yeah. Throw another piece of meat on there.
You want it like you take one piece of meat, you throw it on the wall, it sticks. I mean, come on, it's not good.
No, and it's a disgrace. But this stemmed from a conversation, this business that brings up the Jersey Shore once again.
The sports question?
Yeah, well, Greg Schiano, he was your man. And I remember thinking he was crazy when he left from the University of Miami. He was a defensive coordinator.
Of the old Raritan, my boys, we will fight for the red and the white.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Your theme song was calling your bookmaker and saying, hey, go ahead, I'll lay the points.
You know the money we made when Schiano came to Rutgers?
Schiano was the king of all odds.
This was great.
He was the darling of all mobsters everywhere.
It was a shame that he had to go. I mean, Rutgers was getting 15 and winning by 15.
Tony Soprano himself
laid some heavy.
He was the poster child there. I mean, you got a guy that plays a mobster on TV and may well have been one, Gandolfini.
Give me Rutgers minus 3.5.
I love the team. I love what they're doing. I tell you what, you guys are doing a solid job.
He was on the sideline. Yeah, no, he was a big supporter of the football program down there, Schiano. And
all right, so Schiano, and I thought he was crazy when he left the Canes. You thought you're taking the Rutgers job. What a fool! And I know he had the jersey ties and everything, which is kind of a nice touch, but. With apologies, was it Mark Bavaro went to Rutgers? The last great player out of there? Was he a Rutgers guy, Mark Bavaro?
I don't know that. I couldn't answer that question.
Yeah, I don't know. I want to say yes, so I'm probably dead wrong. But, no, he went to Michigan State, you asshole. Right? That's what they're going to give you. But he did. He had them not only as the darlings against the spread, because he started to score some upsets and also was, in close competition with teams that were really good. But he turned that thing into somewhat of a reasonable power, you would say. I don't know power, but certainly just a well-regarded underdog against the heavyweights of college football.
Yeah, and it was good with when it was still the Big East. The schedule wasn't as bad, and I think they had Louisville on that schedule. They had South Florida,
Boston College.
The Big East was pretty good back then.
Cuse was in the Big East.
Cuse was in the Big East.
Yeah, was Miami still in the Big East? Yeah.
I think they were.
Might have been, yeah. No, he did a great job. And then he is a surprise out of nowhere candidate. He drops in there as the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And Gene Deckeroff, who does the games and does Florida State, sort of implied that he was the single biggest ruination of this franchise. That was, doomed to failure, except for that one Super Bowl year with Gruden.
Yeah.
Doomed to failure right from the start. I mean, they were a running joke when they came in as an expansion team under John McKay.
Well, you were talking about it, too, on your show this morning, that there are certain teams, and, maybe Tampa Bay being one of them. You mentioned my New York Jets.
Jets could be operating under a curse. Is that
under
possible?
Some type of curse or, something that was done wrong. Was it Joe Willie? I mean, was it the way he lived his life? I mean, all those years?
He was great for the game. I mean, Joe Willie saved the National Football, or made it what it is today with that
Did
Super
he make
Bowl
a
III
deal,
victory.
though, that day on
With the
Miami
devil?
Beach when he was just laying there covered with coconut suntan oil with all the reporters around him, and he guarantees the win? Maybe he had made a deal with the devil prior to that.
I think Murph the Surf put him up to it.
There you
Remember
go.
Murph the Surf?
I
He
do.
was like
It
a
was-
second story man who was
very, very good.
legendary. Never got caught. He would rob the jewelry and be very elegant with the ladies.
He was good at
Yes.
going up to the third, fourth story on some of these condominiums.
Spider-Man,
The guy
the
was
condos,
great.
he would clean them out. The Surf might have checked out. Yeah, that's entirely possible.
All my buddies
Yeah.
from Last Point, they all paddled out.
Oh yeah, they did the thing. They spread his
Yeah, that's
ashes
another
out
one.
there,
That's
yeah.
another one of your for your dead or alive.
Murph the Surf, yeah. No, I would go with Jory. He definitely checked out. But, yeah, I was surprised. I mean, you think about coaches that buried a franchise. I was looking over a list of the worst coaches of all time. Could you throw Joe Walton in there? I mean, no, he had some success.
Couldn't you go through some of the list of the Jet
Kotite-
coaches and
Kotite would
make
be-
the list just out of those guys? I mean, yeah, Jersey Joe Walton, Joe Must Go.
Herm Edwards. I mean, Herm was a classic, right?
You play to win the game.
He buried them and then buried the Chiefs.
He wasn't good as head coach.
Oh my God,
Herm, a
he was
great
like
guy,
the
though.
Undertaker. Great guy.
The Jets always have these things where they get these guys.
Would you
that
pay Catwoman her
I
pool money
pay-
already?
She's out in your
We went
driveway.
through this yesterday, yeah.
She's out in your driveway. I got my money. I
She's
got my
stalking
money.
you, man. Yeah, we were talking about this. Some of the lame pool. Well, certainly the guy that's on the hook to collect is usually psychotic, is he not?
I'm actually looking to collect the shoes on the other foot this week.
Well, what are the good pools to be in? I like a suicide pool.
I mean, this 33 pool is kind of one of the dumbest things I've ever heard of. But
Yes.
I mean, the way I figured out is
How
probably.
often does that happen where a team scores 33? Is
Well,
it a
here's
frequent occurrence?
the premise of the pool for all our degenerate friends out there is that you get a team that is given to you at the beginning of the year
For the season.
by a random selection. So
Yeah.
you could end up, let's say, with the Tampa Bay Bucks.
All right, a team that's going to not be able to score at the...
They may have a high score of 15 points in this season.
You have to hope their defense gets them about 23
Yeah.
to make it to 30.
So the team that you get, you are stuck with this team for the 17 weeks of the season, or whatever
Yeah.
it ends up with the bye week. And if your team does score
It's like going back with your ex-wife. There's literally no chance.
there's no chance.
Of this working out. It might be a tease, for a day or two.
She might look good like you haven't seen her a couple years.
Rekindle what you think was the old flame. Because you can turn your mind back, but you can't turn back the hands.
She
of
might
time.
have had a little work done, I mean, everything's looking good, proportionate. She comes in.
No, she even has had some enhancement done. And
Right.
all this- she looks better than she
She
did
looks
before.
better when you left her.
A disgrace.
So
right.
you think, okay, let's give this a shot, and then the next thing, Jeff, and you hear it, you go,
Where are you? At the track?
again?
Right. You're at the hospital visiting her mother who's sick, and she's not even there, and she's accusing
So
you of
you
being
know
at the
that
track.
it's over. Over.
All right, so you could have that situation with this 33 poll.
So you got to score 33, right on the number, not 32, not 34, 33.
Your team has to do it.
Your team has to score
Yes.
it. When you do, you get the
So
entire.
you would want to have the Packers.
You would. Well,
Or,
you might have
the
a shot.
Broncos.
You'd have
or,
chances.
some high-scoring, high-wire act that's going to put a lot of points on the board. Maybe the Vikings this
And
year.
the only good part that I like about the pool is like with your cell phone now with these rollover minutes.
Yes.
Well, you get a rollover dollar. If no team scores 33 that week, the pool goes into the next week.
Right.
So now the pot gets to be
And there
632
32 people in there.
at $10.
So it's
a game.
about $320 a week.
So now you're up to 640.
Okay.
I mean, the third week of the season, you could be looking
could
at
pick up a dime,
a
yeah.
nice gee whiz.
Yeah,
I mean
that makes it worth it for the $10 you're putting up a week. It's worth it.
that's track money.
Yeah.
But what if you get stuck with one of these rats that
Those are the teams that win those pools.
they don't score 33. 33 is a big number. How many times did Dolphins score more than 30 last year?
I'm sitting on the cusp of greatness here with the Polyman in a baseball pool that's equally bizarre, if not more so.
And what is
because
the,
this obviously is not going to be solved on a weekly basis. It's going to take a certain element of time. You get, in this case, two teams. Because, what are there, 15 guys in a pool. You get two teams.
I have to do this once in a while on this show.
Yeah, now what's the deal on the suit before I get into
$300 a week. I got to wear a few different suits each day on the
this?
show.
What happened to the hairpiece?
The deal.
That
let
didn't
me
come through?
No, I think it's going to come through, and that's one thing I wanted to
Joey's
announce.
talking all this highfalutin stuff about sales, and we can't even get a deal in a wig.
No, there's more. The wig guy, Cy, and you know Cy. He's again located not too far.
He's a little tight. So,
Well,
you know what I mean?
he
Don't
didn't
go
wanna
to
go-
breakfast with this guy. He'll never reach for the check. He'll have conveniently have left his wallet in the car, which he parked like 8 blocks away.
Well, between
Because
the
he
two,
didn't want to have to tip the valet guy.
well, but Tony's been real good and forthright, and he's been giving me the money up front in,
Yeah.
in
The
cash,
suit
which
guy,
is
yeah.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I've been coming through. I've been
That's a
wearing
rather attractive
This is a nicer
look for you.
looking
Yeah.
suit than the
Is that
purple.
a tuxedo jacket?
I think it's kind of You could wear this to a prom, wedding, bar mitzvah.
Is that the
I mean,
thing you picked up for the Visser Mama
The
Duke
wedding?
of Dade wedding? Yeah.
No. This is the thing I picked up for the Boodles and Bones or
Oh,
Bubbles and Bones
nice.
extravaganza.
Very good.
Yeah, I'll be wearing this outfit. But so if I can put the wig deal together, which I think is going to come.
And you've solved two of your biggest problems: wardrobe and hair.
The problem is I gotta wear these wigs every day, and I'm not really like I don't mind being bald. I mean it is what it is.
No,
but
it's a very attractive look for you.
Well,
I mean,
I
you're still
don't-
doing
I
well
would-
with the ladies.
I
so to
thank you
speak.
for that. But
Yeah.
have you been to the optometrist lately? Because obviously you don't see too well.
It always looks like you have the illusion of hair. If you're a bald guy, you have the illusion of hair.
People think I have hair?
Yeah, it's just the way it's, kind of hanging on there. It looks like you got a full head of hair, even though, now that I'm a closer examination.
You have none. I mean, I get it. But anyway, with this wig deal and the
people don't hesitate to remind you of the fact that your hair's falling out, too.
Well,
I mean, I used to get that when I was doing the announcements on the field at the stadium.
Yes.
Hey, DeFo!
Yeah.
That bald spot's getting bigger by the day. You wearing a yarmulke, kid? Man, it looked like a red yarmulke was back there, especially if you were sitting in the end zone like in the upper deck.
Now, there are photos, though, when I did have a full head of hair. So,
No, you look
I can
good.
always go back and look at those. If I really start to feel bad, I'll go, oh, well, there it was. It wasn't bad.
Unbelievable,
But with the wig deal and the jacket deal, I'm going to actually eke out a good living, be able to pay the bills, and the HBO will stay on. So, I'll be up on the sports, which I need to be for this show.
Well, no, you don't want to come in here just blindly spewing out nonsense.
Right. I mean, I would never want to do that.
That'd be awful. So who are the burial coaches of all time? I was looking at this list, and they had like Harlan Sver. I mean, guys that you would never. I mean, you wouldn't come up with them. Those guys were like coaching when the American Sportsman was on TV.
I mean, I think that the Rich Kotite really
Kotite had to be the most bozoic maybe of all time. No?
Well, he had a terrible year with the Eagles.
Right.
I think he had won like 3 games.
And the Jets
and the Jets in a glorious press conference before pressers were.
How come there's been no investigation in the Jets ownership?
There should be an investigation into Kotite. I mean, did he hold a gun to?
He was a likable figure.
Mr. Hess or whoever owned the team at the time.
Did he ever surface anywhere else, or was
that was the end.
Mysteriously disappear.
Richard Kotite. I mean, the guy, you could see him on the side, he's eating his hat. I mean, the guy was.
I think there was a garbage fill out on Long Island, and Kotite might have ended up some body parts in there.
The Arthur Kill,
he buried the Jets at 1-15. But how long does it take a franchise to come back from just a lame coaching decision?
Well, the Jets kind of just piled them up one after another. I mean, even, who now has become a very good head coach with the Seattle Seahawks.
Oh, Pete Carroll, yeah.
Pete Carroll was there, just kind of breaking into the game as a head coach and, had a few rough years there with the Jets. But
and it'll be interesting to see what Rex does. I think I always liked him. I tell you what, I would want that guy coaching the Dolphins or any team that I rooted for.
I think that's a good bet this year. I really do. I mean, I don't know what you love these over-under proposition bets that you can get out in Vegas, before the start of the season.
They're interesting, because you see some numbers and you're thinking, nah, that team's way better than that. Maybe they had a lousy year last year, had some excuses, and you're looking and you see.
What's the over-under number on the Dolphins? Do you have that?
I think it's either 8 or 8 and a hook.
All right,
which is a viable number. I would be inclined to go over.
Yeah.
I think they could win 9 games anyway because they have a very easy schedule to begin the season.
Well, if the Jets end up being as bad as I think they're going to be, that's 2.
Yeah, I mean the Jets are in total disarray. Look, the Red Sea is parted. This is my Red Sea theory, which we've seen, in exhibit many times. But and it happens with people too, right? There's certain people like Jory or Todd. The Red Sea just parts for these guys. Whatever they do, whatever they touch, it turns to gold.
Gold nuggets.
Right. And then there's guys like us, which, every door that can be slammed in your face hits you right between the eyeballs, right on the bridge of the nose.
I mean, when I lost
you're wearing a little piece of tape here.
Yeah,
and they're asking you, what, you cut yourself shaving?
You look like a raccoon. Both your eyes are black and blue.
Like you failed to pay off your loan shark on time for the 3rd week in a row, and they finally decided to send you a little message.
You're all black and blue. You're swollen. You're limping. I know the feeling.
But the fish there, the Red Sea is parted for them to swim right in there. Little minnows going through.
Unless Buffalo steps up and becomes that other team.
Can he do it, though? I mean, Rex making another bold move there with Tyrod Taylor, who I can tell you I know nothing about. I don't know his background. He seems like, he's maybe what E.J. Manuel couldn't be.
Right.
Because E.J. Manuel, whatever, maybe doesn't have, I don't know, is he lacking the mental composure to be a top quarterback, just error-prone? Because you see guys that they get to a decent level, they show you some promise, and then fall apart. Fitzpatrick is like that a little bit. Although you would have to figure that he was mentally strong, being a Harvard guy.
Yeah.
Not to question, I don't want to get into a Jimmy the Greek thing, or what was that, Al Campanis, the poor guy?
Right.
Poor schmuck is, he's 100 years old, he's on Nightline with Ted Koppel.
Yes.
And Koppel is begging him to change his response, saying that black guys can't play quarterback or whatever. No, it was can't manage
in
Major League Baseball because they don't have the mental what did he call it? Capacities
The guy was
to grasp, hey, send up Harry and tell him to bunt. Which was, and Koppel's giving him no, don't say that, Al. You really don't mean to say that black people are, not mentally, sharp enough to be, managers in Major League Baseball. What does it take, really?
I mean, listen, if
was Whitey Herzog a genius? I don't know.
Well, I mean, this guy for the Dolphins, Jennings. I mean, this is amazing, right?
Oh my God,
I've never coached Little League. I've never coached college. I've never coached pros. But hi, I'm your new manager.
What is going on? This is a Meshuggah organization here, and people are always talking about them.
You wonder why they're like 2 games out of the cellar for one of the worst teams in baseball.
The Cardinals. Nobody talked really in any glowing praise about the Cardinals. They do it every year. They're a good organization.
Right.
Maybe the San Antonio Spurs of baseball, where they're just a quality entry every year. 45 games over 500 as of last night. And this morning, and the Marlins, who they made some decent moves. They got a guy who's going to lead the league in hitting. D. Gordon, they acquired him for a song,
right?
And so that was a good move. They needed a second baseman also and a leadoff hitter, and the guy is up there in stolen bags also. So that was a great acquisition. You thought that would work, and they did all this other stuff, but they might be another team that's operating under a curse. No.
Well, they bought one, and when they won the World Series back there in '89, when was it?
97.
97, and then.
But that, think about it. That was pittance. I mean, that was chump change by today's standards.
No, it was, but they really did have they bought a nice lineup. I mean, they had some real good guys playing.
And they made some
team.
acquisitions before that, though, too. That they tried to put it together the year before. You can't blame an owner for going for it.
No. You got to go for it. And then they just had some set of unbelievable rookie pitching the other year when they had all those guys.
Dontrell Willis comes up, and there's like Fernando Valenzuela.
Then they have Burkett. I mean, they had a bunch of guys on that next team that
did well. And then they win the World Series. They brought in Jack McKeon. Speaking of managers and coaches,
they wheeled him out to the games.
McKeon was on a respirator. McKeon didn't know what day it was. He would have the wrong team's uniform jersey on.
What? What? There's a game? What?
He walked into the visitors' locker room.
They would wake him up sometimes. He'd be asleep.
Hey Jack.
He'd be out cold on the bench.
And then he was fueled by self-sabotage like we are, where, I remember he had a guy named Mike Mordecai. We called him Mordecai the Jew, who was a famous character in, what would that be? Jewish history.
Okay.
Mordecai the Jew. So anyway, Mordecai would come up. This is how I remember this. He would make like the worst managerial move you could ever make. Like,
and it would work out.
They're ready to blow their brains out. He takes out Miguel Cabrera like in the 8th inning for a pinch runner.
Right.
Not realizing that he was going to be batting like first in the 9th inning if the game ended up in a tie somehow. And sure enough, the other team would tie the ball game up, and Cabrera's spot, Mike Mordecai.
Right.
And even though he's hitting 137 at the time, boom, right out of the park. Wins the ball game, and then he's hailed as a genius.
Like I said, dumb luck. I mean, the one year they bought it, the other year they were just very lucky. I mean, just things worked out. Guys, they had a lot of young guys that were great, that went all over the league, and I mean, you can find a lot of those Marlins still MVPs in some places.
Oh no, it was unbelievable collection of players as it turned out. I think they're still paying Bobby Bonilla also, as are the New York Mets. But
Bobby Bonilla Day once a year. He's still the Mets have the bulk of it, and it was due to the fact of one of your buddies. What's his name? The great swindler of all time. Madoff.
Oh,
with the
Bernie,
cash.
yeah.
Bernie had some deal with the Mets and
with their ownership.
And they told
the Wilpons.
Yeah, the Wilpons.
The Wilpons were like Will Prey Upon.
They cut some deal with Bonilla that if he didn't take this money,
they were paying for the next 25 years.
Because they figured they were making so much money on these millions that they wanted to keep his millions tucked away. Well, now I think he gets 1.7.
I think he gets $1 million a year for like the next 25 years.
25 years.
Yeah,
great
he'll be
deal.
1,000 years old.
Bobby Bonilla Day.
Bobby Bonilla, it's always great. But you mentioned this guy. They've had problems with managers. I think what happened is that Ozzie Guillen, who was into Santeria, who was, of course, was well known as a manager of the White Sox, a very volatile character.
And had a decent year there.
Get out of here, man. You don't ask me no questions.
Well, yeah, I mean, you had that great show that aired on your radio station when you were working the night shift.
Cockfighting with Ozzie Guillen.
Cockfighting from Hialeah. Yeah, I mean, and that was a classic. I mean, that was
Because you could see him there.
yes.
That's what was great about him. I mean, he had some character, and then he made some unfortunate remarks about how much he admired the great Fidel Castro.
Fidel Castro. Yeah, which it was.
And that was his, they had to put the high sign on Ozzie. But I think Ozzie accidentally put a Santeria curse on the team this year. And, because he's still getting paid by the Marlins a pretty hefty sum.
I think what Ozzie meant was that Fidel basically took a beautiful island, in the Caribbean and turned it into his own sandals. I mean, he has the whole country serving him, and he thinks he's at a resort.
Be careful. We may have to suspend you for these comments.
I've been suspended already.
His were in print, though.
I'm
we're
on
just
borrowed time.
spewing this out. I don't think there are any limitations on political correctness here. No parameters on Sports Stream Network.
Well,
we own the network. I mean, what the hell? We're on the board of directors, you and me.
Well, I didn't sign the papers yet. The papers.
You might want to have an attorney look over those. Where's my magnifying glass in here?
Yeah,
when the print got really small down there at the bottom, right there where Jory was.
It's like an eye chart.
Just initial that.
The letters started out real big, but as I got to the bottom of the chart, they were getting smaller and smaller.
What is this, man? Flemish cap? Yeah, let's go there and fish.
That's what we have to sponsor the fishing trip. Yeah, it is to the
This
Flemish.
Jennings, though, he's morphing into something. I don't know what it is. Where you have that stunned look all the time at the press conference.
He's out of it.
Floyd Landis, remember the cyclist that was disgraced? He got discovered he was getting testosterone injections as he was on the bike.
Right. They
he had
pull
like a
into
syringe in his ass.
on the side of the Tour de France.
Yeah, he can't even make it up the hill. He's exhausted. He's completely pale and
Bend
out of
over, you
gas.
little weasel.
One shot. There he goes.
Guy
Bang, zoom
zooms
to the moon.
front of he's in 100.
He's blowing by guys
He
with
just
like
runs.
Flintstones legs.
Yabba dabba do, boys.
But he had that look that Jennings had.
Yeah.
Where Jennings is sitting there going, I don't know why we lost. I'm really not sure why we lost.
It's not because I never met
Oh,
it.
yeah, it's baseball. To come back and play another day.
Which way did he go, George? Which way did he go?
Not exactly the authoritative type of guy that you're thinking is going to turn a bad situation into something even mildly
He is kind of
promising.
morphing into one of those old Warner Brothers cartoon characters,
Yeah.
My mama done told me.
I don't know what to say.
What are you going? Exit, stage left.
Yes.
Yvonne.
And people are still firing questions at him as if it mattered. It's kind of like when they were asking Allen Iverson. I was watching a piece on Iverson last night.
Oh, yeah, great.
Yeah, I made this comparison. See if you get the connection or you think I'm just like smoking too much weed. The Allen Iverson to basketball was what Jimi Hendrix was to the guitar. Just an abstract sort of artist that operated obviously in the confines of what you had to do to be successful in the NBA. But he was, he was a different sort. You probably were like me, being a shooter, took exception to those 6 for 31. 15 from, of 17 from the foul line, 28 points, and they're, everybody's hailing him as like being a giant, but in reality, he buried his team by shooting the ball so many times and missing. But when he was on, it was tremendous.
Yeah,
This kid.
yeah. No, I mean, I don't think that, you're probably smoking too much dope.
Yeah.
I wouldn't compare it.
The guy was like 5'7" in reality.
I mean, if you had to compare somebody to like, that guy, like Hendrix was to rock and roll. I mean, an innovator and
you wouldn't go Iverson. You said.
I wouldn't go Iverson.
Iverson was not then the basketball.
I might go with Pistol
Pete, Hendrix was
Pistol Pete Maravich or something. I mean,
Pistol was out there.
He was out there, and he kind of revolutionized the game. He could shoot it from anywhere. I mean, he could.
Now, did black guys respect Pistol Pete's basketball ability?
I don't know, black, white, anybody would respect the guy's control of a basketball. I mean, the guy was amazing. He was the best no-look pass guy you ever...
Yeah, no, he'd have the ball palmed. He'd give you... He was the first guy to do that fake where, he just throws the ball out there like he's going to pass it, and it's still in his hands, and then he'd drop, a little 37-foot fadeaway floater up there.
And he's one of those guys. It just goes to prove the fact that, I mean, if you put enough time in it, he basically would put 15 hours a day on a basketball court from the time he was 6 years old. I mean,
what
5
was,
years old.
The old man's name was what? Price Maravich or something like that?
Yeah.
Or Prince Maravich?
Something like
Price,
that.
I think it was. And he was the coach at LSU.
Yeah.
And then Maravich had the authority to shoot every shot.
Whatever you want
He
to
would
do.
barely cross mid-court. It was very much Martinez-esque.
And it would hit, though. I mean, this guy would bury the shot.
Yeah,
I mean, 60. I think he averaged, like 50 or 60 points a game. Some stupid number.
Met a very, I don't know that we all don't meet an untimely death. Is there a timely death?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess if you're 97 and
85, when you go around, you shake everybody's hand, and then you lay down that night and go to bed. That's very timely. You know, you get
that's timely. Yeah, you've already passed out.
Untimely is when I drive out of here and I end up dead on Federal Highway.
Some schmink hits you on your way out of the driveway.
As I go to try to get the 300 off a side for the wigs I got to wear next week.
Now, is he paying up front? Because I've had a recent run of luck here with clients that actually pay up front.
Yes. Well,
it's always better than chasing the money.
Tony's Tuxedo's located on the Midway, right next to the Pollo Tropical, and Billy's Bail Bonds pays the cash right up front. And, you know, my deal, I'll be wearing a different jacket. The wig, tough guy to work with. But
well, they usually are. And I don't know, are hair pieces very much in demand right now? Because there are all kinds of other.
Well, there's other ways out. Maybe that could
yeah.
be it. You know, the weave is big. You know, and then
some guys look pretty good. That guy Negreanu that's on the World Poker Tour or whatever that is. World Series of Poker.
Looks like he got more hair now.
But he was losing his hair as a young guy coming up on the poker tour when they first started televising this. And let's face it, you can't tell the director at a poker tournament, hey, nothing over the top of the head, because the cameras essentially are over the top of the head.
Looking down.
All of them, yeah. They're going to be looking down, right?
See the cards.
It's not a particularly flattering shot, especially if you're balding, right? The guy looks down, he sticks his head down. He's
looking at the cards.
Say, hey, Danny boy, getting a little thin on top.
See the big bald spot? I go, what the heck? Yeah, no, I get
Why
it.
are we obsessed with this?
I just think it's funny.
So now, I mean, the guy's got like a full head of decent-looking hair.
Yeah,
now,
so what is
now,
it?
if you knew he was bald before and you really look at it and you zoom in, and say, let's see, does that look like somebody messed with his head?
Well,
you can see that there is some element of unnatural hair flow to it.
So it may be Cy.
But at
Cy
first sighting,
Sperling, our good friend.
I don't know how he did it. I mean, but it was one of the better hair weaves I've seen. Because remember when they first started doing that, it looked like you had just had somebody with golf spikes walk on your head.
Well, those are the plugs. Those were those old plugs that guys used to get.
Bob Rubin, the columnist, I remember.
They look like a row of corn, being from Jersey. Like, how those cornfields are perfectly. Well, they line the hairs up perfect. I mean, it was a disaster.
But they would come shooting out as if they were antennae.
What the hell was that?
On like a rather large ant.
You'd be better off wearing just put a rag over your head or something, I mean, come on.
But what's the demand then? I mean, if you're pushing this, you've been pushing this rug guy for like the last 3 weeks.
I don't really, because it's something that I was over there looking at the subs, at about 1 a.m. at the and he must have been locking up or going in there to do something. And I said to him, look,
he's next to that Panamanian grocery store, right?
I told him I had a radio deal, and
they call it Roberto Duran's.
And I was working on this video stream, and he goes, it'd be good for my wigs, So I said, all right.
I don't know that you could sell wigs.
I don't know. We're going to see next week when I wear a different one every day on the show. I mean, and we'll see.
Under the heading of Harry Proposition, right?
Well, no, it's Size Wigs, and he's also located right there next to the Pollo Tropical.
Did he give you the usual business? How will I know if anybody came to the store because of you?
Well, I'm going to mention his name and give out the address. I mean, that should be enough.
And they're going to drop your name when they go there for a hair piece?
Well, they get to 20% discount on the wig. If you mention our name at the door, you're in. What do I know? I don't know.
Hey, I want to tell you, I'm bald as an eagle, and Kyle sent me.
He said
from Sports Stream Network.
And I like the wig he was wearing.
You think that's really going to work? That's a ploy that never works.
I like the wig he was wearing on Tuesday's show. It looked nice. I'd like that same one.
Like Chuck Woolery on here, man. You'll be selling reverse mortgages in a couple of weeks.
Listen, everybody's got to eat, and I got a shot here. We're on live video streaming.
How can you just whore yourself out like this? I mean, to anybody.
You've done it all your life. I mean, you've been doing it for years. You're the biggest slut I've ever met. You're like
These are reputable clients.
You're a radio whore. I mean, and you don't come cheap. I do.
No, I'm not doing anything for 3 sticks, I can assure you. It isn't even worth leaving the house.
You see how he is?
I got bills to pay.
Oh, man. No, I mean, for me, this is a great deal. And then there's something...
You own your own company.
There's something in it for you, too. Don't worry.
All right, good.
I'm working on...
I should get a piece just for having to listen to this for an hour every day.
I'm working on a piece of the pie for you. I wouldn't leave you out.
This guy gets 45 minutes of the show every show out of the 50... of content.
Well, the fudge, I ate it all, so I don't talk about those guys anymore. Steal fudge.
Send some more.
Send another box, you get more airtime. You know how it goes.
This is like Kyle Martinez begs for food.
This is Kyle TV.
We're going to have to change this up a little bit. All right, so what about this last week of the preseason? You got every team, plus college football.
You're having my guy on the show. I'll know what to bet. I mean, you're having Stu Feiner.
Yeah, I mean, but that's Friday. And this, like I said, Degenerate Friday, we're going to have to somehow incorporate SportsStream into this thing.
Yes.
Because these are legendary guys going to be picking games. And there's some value in this. I know, look, you don't want to go running to the bank and withdraw all of your funds and, because Stu Feiner tells you, I love this game, and his teeth fall out. Well, his hairpiece flips, and he's shoveling veal parmesan sandwiches into his face.
I got to get videotape of him on the phone with you, though, because the guy's turning like purple when he's yelling. He goes insane.
I love this game.
I love it. I'm going to bet my children's money.
Now, would that normally appeal to you? I mean, when some guy tells you they love a horse at the track, are you inclined to believe that guy?
Not at first, and I wasn't. I said, this is just a raving lunatic screaming into your phone.
Right, you're figuring the guy's full of crap.
The guy went 3 for 3, and then the following week he went 3 for 4. I mean, the guy's a magician.
Yes, that's 6 out of 7 in the preseason.
Yeah, he just...
You would have to be Nostradamus
holds the
himself to
up
come
to
up
his
with
head. He's
this kind of numerology. Against the spread, too. This wasn't one of those things where they go, hey, Bill Cowher, who do you like?
He's the amazing
And he goes, I like the Patriots in this one against the Jaguars at home.
I love Stu Feiner, and I love his selections, and whatever he says this Friday, I'm diving in.
He hit at a decent ratio last year. He was on all season long, doing college and pro games, and he had a pretty decent percentage. It wasn't like phenomenal. It wasn't like 70%, but maybe high 50s for the season. Even though he portrays himself as somewhat of a clown-like figure.
Well, all of your guys are quirky.
Stuff,
I mean, you got Spiner, and he's just out there. I mean, he just screams and yells at the top of his lungs. Looks like he's ready to explode. Then you got your other guy, Mark Lawrence, who,
Lawrence is a trend
3 days
machine.
after a full moon, if you happen to bear to the right because a duck walks in front of your car, the Dolphins have lost.
On a day when you broke a mirror and then found a black cat in your driveway.
Bet all you can on the Dolphins. I mean, he has these trends that
you would think have no application whatsoever to
sometimes
that night's
I
game.
can't, and that's one part of your show on the radio that I can't, wait to hear is when you have Lawrence on there because some of these trends,
convoluted logic could be right,
and he is usually right.
Yes,
I mean, it works.
It's a good percentage. He's like a national handicap.
When the
champion.
Cleveland Browns have played on a Monday night after 3 days of straight rain in Cleveland, and a new coach is in position. They always
Of what relevance is it?
None.
It is. It's getting back to the ex-wife again. It's like your ex-wife or girlfriend telling you she's changed.
Yes.
It has no relevance to today because you haven't changed.
You've been telling me that you're going to change every year now.
Every year I go into the season thinking, okay, kid, this is going to be my
year.
Yeah. It never happens, right? 2015, can you believe it? We're like 2/3 of the way through 2015. You remember where you were in 2000 when it turned to 2000? I was in Vegas. That's why I remember it.
You were?
Yeah, and I was thinking, wow, 2000. I never thought I would make it this far.
Was I there with you?
No. You were you broke your maiden out there at that.
Well, I was
went out there for the Derby.
Well, that's right. When we went there,
was that your first time out there?
No, I had been there once before in like 1986, and then that was my return to Vegas.
We're gonna try and do an event out there.
I did so bad.
Yeah.
I did so bad in 1986.
That you never went back.
That I didn't go back until whenever we went.
Do you remember your first gambling burial when you left the event or the scene? Literally talking to yourself, and did it also involve a long trip back home? Well, the first time you really got buried, like beyond the scope of your wildest imagination in terms of budget.
I think that's
like you lost a dime as a 16-year-old. No, you always were a high roller, though.
Never. No. $100 would be the limit I would take.
You would bring how much to the track?
When I was a kid, when I was a 16, 17-year-old, and I was sneaking in the back of Mr. Caholen's car, I would bring like $20.
What did you tell your teachers? Where was it? When
they
you
were at the track.
Oh, they were there.
I lived in
That's
Jersey.
That's bad when you run into the principal there.
Anyway, I walked into the accounting teacher. I said, "Hey, how you doing, Mr. Hibbs?" And
Mr.
Hibbs, it's good to see you. What are you doing? He goes, "I love the 4 in the 8th grade."
And by the way, your calculus test will be tomorrow.
Hey, don't worry about your accounting grade. You didn't see me here either.
We always did well in odds and probability. That was always my best math course.
I made more deals in my senior year in high school for passing grades. It had nothing to do with school. Like the teacher I just told you about.
Freehold, how far was that from your high school?
Freehold was the track that I first...
What is that, like a scumbag place?
It was quite a dump, back in the day. I think they fixed it up.
I didn't mean to characterize the people of New Jersey as potentially being scumbags.
No, the track itself...
Those that are at Freehold in the afternoon on a winter's day... You'd have to think, have certain levels of dementia that they've already.
A good friend of yours at 16 years old 16 and a half actually, was
Yeah.
given a horse named Lola's Victory in the 8th race.
That was you?
Yes.
Okay.
In the 8th race at
Eighth race,
Freehold.
and you were 16.
16.
And how did you handle it?
Well, my buddy Murphy, who was another sick friend of mine, we decided to collect.
How long had you had this particular
We
disease?
we had never. I mean, we had maybe been, to the track maybe once
Okay.
or before
So
that.
this was very exciting information.
The information was that Lola's Victory was going to win for fun in the 8th race at Freehold, and it would happen to be like on a Wednesday afternoon.
Right. And this was also this was not your vintage 4 to 5 shot. It wasn't like you were going there to hammer
No, and
Camfella.
the fact that I had algebra and chemistry class at that time, it was going to be very hard to make this wager due to the fact that at 16 you don't know a lot of bookmakers,
Why let that stop you? Yes. From
Well,
having
it
a good
didn't.
day.
So me and my buddy Murphy skipped out of school, climbed
Jory
out.
loves this story, by the way. He loves it.
Climbed out of a back window, jumped into the Mustang, zoomed down Route 9, and then cut across over to Freehold Racetrack.
Did you have licenses, or did you steal the car?
No, we
too?
had I had a learner's permit. I don't know, something like that, But we made it into the track, and at lunchtime before we left, we managed to collect $136
Oh, nice.
throughout
big money back
throughout the cafeteria.
What year is this? Circa what?
1975, 74.
Stick is a big amount.
$6 here, $10 there. I had a 20 in my pocket. Anyway, we put it all together. We bet $136 to win.
To win only.
On
no
Lola's
exactas,
Victory.
no supers, no hectofectas.
No.
Daily doubles, pick threes didn't
Nothing.
even exist back then.
Win.
Yeah, win only. I like that.
We didn't know any better. I
All right,
mean,
what were the odds on
thank
this now?
God we didn't. We would have
This is
bet
at the
tries.
Trotters, too. I mean, like a disgusting concept.
Anyway, to make the long story short, they come around the final turn. Lola's Victory is flying on the outside at 21 to 1.
Oh, my God, with $138.
$176 or whatever the heck it was.
16-year-old Kyle Martinez.
Flying on the outside and does not get there.
Not get there.
Runs second.
Okay.
So me and Murphy, pissed off,
Gun to
walking
your
out
head,
of the track, cursing, son of a bitch, I mean, we're yelling.
yeah.
Some old guy says, what are you boys so mad about? He said, we had the 7 on the
Yeah.
outside, didn't get up. You see that light blinking, kids? It's an inquiry.
I love that.
He says, don't leave. I said, what's an inquiry? Because we don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, long story short, they put Lola's
Oh,
Victory
my
up.
God. Well, I mean, it's hard to get an inquiry in the Trotters, too.
$44 and change
And
to
you have
win.
it 50, 60-something times.
Some odd times, yeah.
My Lord. No
Why
wonder
do
you were hooked.
No wonder I like the track.
I'm glad you remember your first score over your first burial. Which,
Yeah, no, that was it. But that was worse because that made me think that I could do it again,
Yeah, I remember losing like 600 in Las
I
Vegas.
feel like the Jets, it's been 50 years. I've
50
never
years,
done that
my
well,
God. 1969, the last moment of glory.
Yeah.
That's really sick. Hey, the Dolphins aren't too far behind that, right? 73.
But at least they went there a couple times, didn't they, with Danny Boy?
They went there one time with Danny Boy. That's
Right.
it. And
that was in the early 80s, right? 83.
had to be that 85, 84 season,
Yeah.
somewhere in there. Was it their first year with Danny as a rookie?
Yes.
Yeah, I think he was. So that was the 84 season. Unbelievable. Hey, speaking of which, it's gone by too quickly.
We got to go.
Do you have to return the jacket, or?
No, I get to keep them. That's another part of the deal. As long as somebody goes in the store and buys.
And where is this place?
It's located right on the Midway next to Pollo Tropical,
Okay.
right next to Billy's Bail Bond. So if you have a problem, and then 2 doors down, Size Wigs, which I hope will be
Hey,
on
come on,
next.
Si. How about springing for the 300 for the kid here?
And let's not forget,
they'll wear the wigs proudly. On
Our
the show.
friends over there at I'm sorry, Steel
Steel
Fudge.
Fudge, yeah.
Although
you have to thank them to your grave now. I mean,
no, I mean delicious product. It was so good that it was gone instantly. So not that I want you to send any more, but send some more, and as soon as possible.
is there anything else you want to beg for before we sign?
I want to say hello to my friends over there at the new Chevrolet dealership in New Smyrna Beach. They say they could put me in a Chevy.
Oh, really? No,
I'd like to wish them all. If you're looking for a Chevy, go see Glenn Noak at New Smyrna Chevy. I saw that online the other day. That's the guy was it the Nissan place? Now he's at the Chevy.
He's already got another job, so you put him out of business too?
Yeah. What is that? What's the night? Camaro, right? They make a Camaro Chevy.
Yeah. And of course, Deal Volkswagen.
Our
with
friends
the,
at Deal.
Leaper competition, unbelievable.
Yeah.
And, doing a great job.
And that, I mean, if I can't, get my hands on any of those $300 packages to Christine Lee's.
But these guys are eligible, so maybe we can win, and then they can take us.
Take us to dinner. I'm sure they
That'll
won't
be
do
good,
that.
yeah.
But what a great deal that is, too, right? Our friends at Deal Volkswagen sponsoring that contest. $300 voucher each week if you beat the Leaper.
On the radio show. And
On the radio
put
show.
the information on Sports Stream Network also.
Yeah.
Give people a shot there. We don't care where they come from, right?
No, anybody who beats the Leaper's in line to, and then you're going to spin the wheel of meat or whatever.
Beating the Leaper, I mean, I hate to make this reference. It's like Rodney King, man. I mean, this guy takes a beating every week. I mean, just by opening up his mouth and giving out a selection. I didn't see what his parlay was last night.
Well, he came on the show, and he didn't sound good when he came on. Was it yesterday?
Yeah.
He gave out a couple games.
Gave out a couple of losers, I believe.
Both of them lost again.
We got to run. Thanks, everybody. We'll do it again tomorrow here at SportsStreamNetwork.com.
Yes.
Call Jory with investment capital right away. I would think, a substantial amount of cash from
anyone looking to advertise on the Sports Stream Network, get a hold
Doesn't
of
matter what you're
Jory,
hawking, we'll
send
do it.
an email to the website. I'm sure you could do that, and then we'll be willing to hawk it for you, along with a lot of our other sponsors.
All right, sounds good. We'll see you tomorrow at 11 o'clock here on SportsStreamNetwork.com.